Chris Forsberg. We're out here at Willow Springs for Grid Life Skip Day, and we are debuting our official Nissan Altima, the 2021 full CAD design tube chassis drift car that's going to be pushing 2,000 horsepower. Not to mention, it's a drift taxi, 4 seats in there. So this is our newest, latest, and greatest build. Like I mentioned, this is a drift taxi, so we got 4 seats in it. And with that, I wanted to have the rear passengers to have the same experience as the front. So I actually have 2 CD7 dashboards in this car. One in the center in the front, one in the center in the rear. And they're being fed by information on the Motec M150 that's controlling the engine. And so the 2 actually have toggling screens. We can put whatever we want on there. It's super easy to adjust. And we're actually going to start playing around with some things like showing some, high mile an hour and gear changes, stuff like that, to give a more interactive experience for our passengers. As I mentioned, it has a Motec M150 powering this engine, which is a Nissan VR38, the GTR motor, built by T1 Race, and this engine is going to be capable of making 2,000 horsepower. It is very similar to the setup that we run in our professional drift 370Z with Formula Drift. It's a VR38 as well with the twin Garrett turbochargers, but on this one we went with a different intercooler. We went with the CNR, very large F1 inspired intercooler, feeding into a single throttle body, unlike any other GTR package in the world, which is a billet plenum made by CJ Motorsports, to give us a much cleaner engine bay so that we can have all of our sensors and everything hidden and tucked away. If you look in nice and close, you'll see we're using the AM sensors on everything: the air intake temp, the oil pressure, oil temp, coolant pressure, coolant temperature, even the wideband sensors. Everything is AEM electronics, and it's tucked away. We put most of it on the back side of the engine for a nice clean bay. As I mentioned, the entire chassis was CAD designed, and then it was laser cut out by my friend Rob Parsons, who does all of this tube notching, bending, and cage work in-house. And they sent us an entire pallet of parts, which allowed us to do any amount of suspension work that we wanted on this setup. And so we went with a custom AA arm, which is a very highly adjustable system, and also allows for the suspension to be very compact and nice and tight. No big shock towers, no big high AA arm, very compact within the confines of the hub and the wheel to give a clean engine bay. As we get to the rear of the car, you can see the fuel cell, the radiator, and we see a couple more electronics actually. Our AEM EV PDU 8s. We actually have 3 of these in the car, and we have 2 in the back, 1 in the front, which are controlling all the different electronics within the car. The reason why there's only 1 up front and 2 back here is just because with the fans back here, the fuel pumps, tail lights, everything else, we wanted to have the PDUs mounted in the back so that we didn't have to have so many wires running front and back, and we could just focus on having just a single CAN system running back to activate the PDUs to control all the rest of the electronics to run the car. Yeah, this was an idea that my tuner had, John Reed, who said, the cool thing about the PDU 8s is that we can get multiple packs and place them in different spots around the car. So instead of having one big fat wiring harness feeding all the way front and back, you actually just have that little CAN system coming back to control the PDUs, which then control the rest of it. So it makes for a much cleaner and even less technical wiring harness. And the rest of the cockpit, of course, is all tube frame custom chassis. We did all new sheet metal flooring, the trans tunnel, everything else. You can see the CD7 up on the trans tunnel, and then below it you'll see the Motec keypad, which is what's controlling the ECU and the PDUs as well. And tilt and pedal box, 6XD sequential shifter, my own customized handbrake, our plumbing lines. Just everything is basic and simple as possible for the most complicated car I've ever built. What made the car so complicated is that there was no real starting point because we hollowed the car out. We had to build everything out of nothing. And so we built this car in about 6 months. We could have done it a little bit quicker if we didn't have some shipping issues back in 2020, but outside of that, the car came together very well. I'm super happy with it, and it's driving amazing. This car was still on jack stands and it hadn't even hit the dyno yet, less than 24 hours ago. And so the fact that it's out here and burning tires and giving rides and running flawlessly is a tribute to the team. Absolutely killing it. Well, like I said, this thing was built for giving rides, and that's why we're here at the track. So if you don't mind, I'm going to take off, pick up some people, and have some fun.